Am I the asshole here for not defending our relationship more? I, 44 female, live in a small town, population about 2,000. I've been dating my boyfriend, 52 male, for 8 years. We were at a holiday party in December with probably 200 guests. Someone asked when we were planning to get married. Boyfriend said never. People continued to press the subject, so I said that neither of us wanted to get married currently, but if it changed, we'd be sure to let them know. So boyfriend said, if you ever change your mind about marriage, don't bother talking to me about it. Just move on and find a man who wants to marry you. God damn. Way to lay that one down, huh? Everyone was staring. I cried. We went home. He's brought it up a couple of times since then, but it's not really something that I see a point in discussing. He's made it clear from day one that he doesn't want to get married. I don't want to either. I wouldn't have said what he did in public, but it's the truth. The way he said it embarrassed me, and it hurt my feelings that he was so flippant about breaking up and going our separate ways after 8 years of being in love. But again, it's nothing I didn't know from private conversations. Every Tuesday we have dinner with friends at this Mexican restaurant. So last night at dinner, a guy that I know socially from living in the same small town walked up and said that he knew that I was exclusively dating boyfriend, but he just wanted to say that I should call him if I ever decided that I wanted a serious relationship. And then he looked at boyfriend and said, "Nothing personal, man." I know we go way back. They're about the same age and hung out in high school and in their early 20s, but if she wants anything more than casual dating, it would be over between you two anyway. After we got home, boyfriend was upset with me for not making it clear that we have more than a casual relationship. I told him that I wasn't the one who made our relationship status unclear, and if he felt something was unclear or misunderstood, he could have set things straight himself. In the comments, Take the Red Leaf says, LMFAO, the balls on that guy are genuinely impressive. I mean, are you interested? I kinda think you should be, lol. Your boyfriend is temporary. This seems as good a jumping off point as any. OP says, he's good looking, successful, smart, funny, never married, no kids. Was a bit of a womanizer when he was younger, but he's made it pretty clear in the last few years that he's looking to settle down and get married. Checks a lot of boxes if a girl was looking to get married. I'm just not. Downvoted commenter says, if you truly were looking to not be married, your boyfriend wouldn't have made you cry when saying if you ever want to get married, you can go find that. However, your boyfriend seems like a douche. I'd leave his ass. OP says, I promise you, I most definitely do not want to get married again. I cried because I was embarrassed by what he said. By the way he said it, and the impression that he gave everyone that not getting married was not a mutual decision and was something that he decided, and that I was sitting around hoping he would change his mind or trying to convince him. Look, if you don't want to get married, that's fine, but find someone who doesn't publicly humiliate you. I agree with that, and I mean, I laughed out of just the sheer absurdity of that situation to publicly put your partner down like that. Come on, OP, that man doesn't like you. No loving partner would do something like that. He went out of his way to publicly shame and humiliate you because why? Did he enjoy it? He's obviously never done this before, but now when there's hundreds of people surrounding you and within earshot, this is the perfect opportunity to be like, you're pathetic. You should just leave me. If you want to get married so bad, I'm not the guy for you. I'm just your casual boyfriend of 8 years. God, look at you. You're pathetic. That's genuinely how the situation reads. Now, obviously, I don't agree with the other guy coming up and being like, oh, you should marry me. Mr. Hotshot over here is not a serious fella. That's just weird that he came up and did that. I don't know how much bearing this has on the situation besides just someone else cementing the fact that you need to leave this guy. And I don't even know if that interaction with him coming up to the both of you and being like, when you're ready to get married, it's time to kick this guy's ass to the curb. I don't really know where I was going with that besides I don't think you would have mentioned it unless you were starting to dislike your boyfriend as well and be like, yeah, there are better options out there. Except this asshole that came up and told me to dump my boyfriend because he wants to get married and I still don't, but I also hate my boyfriend. What an odd set of circumstances, huh? And now, onto the update. So after posting, I did a lot of reflection on our relationship. One day, I just packed what I had at his house and brought it all to my house while he was at work. When he came home, I told him that I'd moved my things out and I wasn't going to be around anymore. I gave him his house key. Boyfriend feels blindsided by my moving out. He doesn't understand how he went from happy and peaceful to me moving out and living an hour plus away when essentially nothing changed. I still have feelings for him, but it wasn't nearly as painful as I expected it to be. I have too many hard feelings towards him for the way that he treated me and my kids, especially in the beginning of our relationship, to try to salvage anything between us. And I most definitely have too much resentment towards his youngest son, 24 male, to ever consider working on things and trying to be anything that resembles a family with either of them. 8 years, and I packed everything I had there in like 2 hours, like I was never there. During the first couple of years, I did tell him how he made me feel, but his answer was always, "This is the deal, take it or leave it." It took 8 years, but I decided to leave it. I suppose at some point I emotionally checked out of the relationship and just sort of let things be. Many of the issues have just sorted themselves out with time, but the underlying hurt is still raw. My house really doesn't feel like home to me anymore. I've been staying with my children, who are away from home attending college. I've completely moved out of my house, and I officially put it on the market last Friday. For now, I'll just commute to work until I figure out what I want to do going forward. Added comments. First, let me say that I'm absolutely amazed by all of your kind words and well wishes. I can't believe how kind and supportive you guys have been. I'll address a couple of the common comments and questions. First, I guess the most popular is about the guy from the Mexican restaurant. I've spoken to him since, but it's not the fairy tale ending that you guys are dreaming of. I'm definitely not in a place where I'm ready to date, and I can't remember his exact words, but the jest was that he'd be happy to take me out sometime, but he was just being a dick to my ex-boyfriend on purpose because of what he said at the party and other things he'd seen boyfriend do over the years. Very anticlimactic, I'm afraid. Although he does frequently work around where I'm living, so who knows what the future holds. Second, financial concerns. If you guys want to take back all of your "I'm proud of you" comments, I understand. I really have no excuse for staying. I'm well educated, I earn a good living, well above 6 figures. I wasn't always, but I literally spent 20 years going back to school time and time again. For the past few years, I've made significantly more money than ex-boyfriend. I really have no excuse for why I stayed so long. In the comments, Thinkseeing says, "Honestly, the fact that you guys have been dating for 8 years and it took you less than 2 hours to pack is very telling. This guy did not give you space or respect in his life." OP says, "I always maintained my own home in town, and I honestly loved the house that I bought for my college-aged kids. I moved all of my life treasures there when I bought it. I had mostly clothes and toiletries at his place. My mail didn't even come to his house." OP, please, please, please give yourself some time in TLC. You've made a mess load of changes in your life. Find your new nest and see how you feel living in your own skin for a while. Indulge in cocoa and a few good books. Head out to a plant nursery or arboretum and enjoy the smells and colors. Are your kids making any commentary? I'm glad you're spending some time with them. Not the asshole, and congratulations. OP says, "I'm sure I'll stay in this house. I loved it when I bought it, and I still love it now." My son is very supportive, but he's a bit of a mama's boy. He wouldn't be anything else. He has no opinion about anything to do with ex-boyfriend. He just thinks it'd be nice if I cook pot roast for dinner. He's bringing his girlfriend. Thanks. My daughter thinks that at some point, X and I need to have a conversation to achieve closure. His younger son has also reached out to her. She has essentially put them both in timeout until they're ready to have respectful conversations and give real apologies. For what it's worth, I'm also in timeout. She gave me the same kind of talk that I used to give her about timeout not being a punishment, but a time to process strong emotions and reflect on how our actions contributed to the entire situation and decide what we need to do to move forward. That may not be something you can do in a few minutes or even a whole day. Once you are feeling calmer, you can rejoin us, but you're still going to have to spend some quiet time with this to sort things out. And I'm always here to talk and listen, but this isn't something I can do for you. We will revisit this in 5 minutes and then talk about it before bed tonight and then daily so I can help you until you get things sorted out. So that's where we are. Daily conversations. Honestly, I think OP did the right thing for herself in this situation. I myself would have been a very sad and disappointed parent if she had found some way to salvage it and continue that relationship with that dickhead. And maybe I read the Mexican restaurant situation wrong. Just in my heart of hearts, it felt like a very weird thing to happen, and, it wouldn't make me want to date that person. But I'm sure the situation is a bit different for OP, knowing these people better and experiencing the situation herself. And also whether she needs to achieve closure or not. I feel like, that gets brought up so much. Is it just a cliche at this point? Do we always need closure from these situations? Do we have to go and have those conversations? I don't know how necessary that is, but if OP wants to do it, the more than merrier. I'd love to know what you guys have to say about that. Our next post is by user RA199299, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole for ruining my brother and his wife's pregnancy news with the news of my recent diagnosis?" Bit of backstory, my brother and I are very close. His wife and I not so much. We've had our fair share of tension. Anyway, I fell sick in the middle of May, but held off getting checked out because of COVID and safety reasons. Eventually, when June started, I decided to go get it checked out, and it turns out it was stage 2 breast cancer. I decided to tell my family 2 days ago since lockdown laws have been lifted, so I invited everyone over, and when I told my brother and his wife, he said, okay, that's fine, because he has news to share too. So our family gathered, and my brother decided to go first. He did ask me, and he announced that his wife is 4 months pregnant. Of course, everyone was overjoyed. After about an hour, they asked about my news, and I knew this was probably the last time in a long while before I had everyone here in person, so I told them. And of course, the initial joyous atmosphere was gone. The rest of the evening was a lot of support for me, and not a lot of attention on my brother and his wife. My brother didn't seem to mind this, as he was quite distraught with my news, but I saw his wife was pretty upset and cornered off. So I decided to approach her, and I apologized for the timing of it all. She told me that I could have waited a bit and Skyped everyone with the news, as it's just stage 2, and let my brother and her have this moment with their family. I told her that I initially called this meeting for this exact reason, and she said she knows, but I knew that my news would damper everyone's mood. So I told her she's being ridiculous, and I wanted to tell my family in person, since they are my family after all, and she burst into tears and demanded to go home, with my brother obliged to, even though he was confused. He promised he would come see me soon, since he stays close to me. Later that evening, I get a message from him asking if I told his wife that she isn't a part of the family, and that I deliberately wanted the attention on me, because that's what she's upset about. Also, the next day my parents called me to check up on me, and my mum mentioned that my brother's wife called yesterday evening, really upset, telling them what I said, quote-unquote, and claiming I'm jealous because she's pregnant and I'm trying to ruin her life. I told my parents what actually happened and what I really said, and it's caused not only tension between his wife and me, but my parents and her too, and now she's blaming me for my parents not being her biggest fans. My brother is torn, but has been trying to talk to her, which results in more tears and a strain in their marriage. All this drama is making me think I should have just called up everyone rather, or just told my brother that his news had to wait, even though that would have been selfish of me. I really wanted my family's support that day, but I'm starting to rethink whether it was worth all of this drama and potentially causing further problems. So Reddit, am I the asshole? In the comments, Left Hand of Kindness says, not the asshole. You called the meeting for your news. Also, if sharing it in person was unimportant, then why couldn't your sister-in-law share the pregnancy news over Skype? Her own reasoning should have been good enough for her. And good luck with your treatment. Not the arsehole. I was so ready to call you the arsehole from the title alone, but you arranged this meeting to break the news of something very serious, and your brother decided that it was time to break news as well. Could you have handled this better? Well, yes. You could have asked him privately what his news was when he said that he had something to announce so that it didn't get awkward like this, but regardless, the blame does not fall on you at all. But the fact is that cancer is, a bit more of an important thing to announce than a pregnancy, and the sister-in-law made a huge misstep getting jealous and saying what she did. Skype? Really? She's definitely the arsehole here. There are things more important than a pregnancy, especially because a pregnancy has a lot more of a time frame to announce than a disease that you're going to need to get some pretty obvious treatment for. Also, I wish you a good recovery. Back up to the post, there's an edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to get so much lovely feedback, and to think I was slightly scared to post this. Thank you all for the unnerving support, love, and huggies. I read, and am still reading, every single comment made, and I really appreciate it. I will most definitely fight through. Thank you all so much. I just wanted to add a few points. When brother told me that he had news too, he was really super excited and added it as a just, by the way, I'll announce mine too. He did apologize and admit afterwards that if he had known what my news was, he would have held his off, because right now what's important is my recovery. He also admitted that he wrongly assumed that my news would be automatically good. I'm usually always the happy, chirpy one. His wife wasn't too fond of this either. Brother's wife also had a miscarriage at the beginning of the year, which is why this pregnancy, I suppose, was extra special. I'm truly happy for them. I just wish she could understand, like one user pointed out, that this isn't a competition. I don't know why I couldn't tell him over the phone. We are really close, and I knew that it would have crushed him. I couldn't steal him away at the gathering either because he was the last to arrive, and when I did, he just quickly mentioned, "Hey OP, mind if I go first?" And I was frozen on the spot, so I said sure. Also pretty silly on my part. It's hard to explain that feeling where you are absolutely frozen and there's a big lump in your throat that prevents you from speaking, but saying the news in the first place was really difficult to begin with. Edit. Just another point to clarify, I'm not a saint, but my brother does mean a hell of a lot to me. It's exactly why his wife and I cleared the air between us before, because I wouldn't deliberately make his life hell by pissing her off. Hence why when I saw she was upset, I approached her, and when she told me that I could have Skyped, I responded with, I wanted to tell them in person since my family and they would probably want to be there with me when I broke the news. I never once implied that she wasn't a part of it. My brother and parents know this. Even with all of this reasoning, I think that brother's wife is pulling off an incredible acting performance. I think she is overreacting to this, and yes, making this a competition, because she wants it to be all about her, and she's sad that she took over this gathering that OP set up in the first place, because OP obviously had news to share, and how dare OP share that news when we butt in with our good news? I don't know, man. I just find that behavior of hers disgusting and reprehensible. Yes, it's sad that you had a miscarriage at the start of the year. That is bad, and obviously, this news of a 4-month pregnancy that has taken is incredible. Yes, but that doesn't give her any excuse to attack OP for the announcement that OP was going to make, and this event that OP set up specifically for that announcement. Sorry, but what a piece of shit. I'm gonna be honest, she sounds like a piece of shit for doing that, and I fully expect an apology towards OP, and an apology to the rest of the family as well. This is not something that should be isolated and buried. I feel like she needs to apologize for everyone for her fucking attitude at that event. That is genuinely so disgraceful what she did. And now, on to the update. Sorry this is so late. A lot has been happening this past month since the news came out, and since I've received a tremendous amount of love from Reddit, I thought it would be only fair to let you all know what happened. First and foremost, I have started treatment. Also one of the reasons that I couldn't update sooner. Thank you all for your well wishes. I was planning on bouncing back as soon as I can. Anyway, I could see that my brother was under a lot of stress, and I finally sat him down to talk about it properly. He showed me a bunch of texts that his wife sent him telling him that he's a shitty father for choosing me over his family. She said I was seeking attention and nobody cares about her. Oh, poor baby! Oh, what a little baby she is! And one thing that really got to me was that she told him to choose once and for all. And if he picks me, he loses her and his child. And if he picks her, she doesn't want me in their lives at all. I felt terrible, not only for him, but knowing that I could have prevented all of this. I don't think you could have, OP, but sure. I took the time to apologize for putting him in this position, and if I had just pulled him aside soon enough and given him a heads up, he would have truly understood. Brother tells me that I shouldn't apologize because he should have been more considerate. He also mentioned that his wife would probably still have gotten mad at him whether they did or didn't give the news on that day. So I decided that I should invite her over for coffee to sort out everything. I spoke to her alone, I asked her about everything. She was very cold and didn't really answer, so I started talking first by apologizing if I made her feel excluded from the family or that her pregnancy was of any less importance. I explained that I should have given them a heads up so that we could have avoided what had happened altogether and that was my fault and that I was very sorry, but I also mentioned that the way that she reacted and went to the extent of lying wasn't okay. She then started crying and vented about how angry she's been, and that my brother always put me first, and recently they've been going through a rough patch, and when he sided with me, it made her even more upset and feel even more lonely. She admitted she lied to my parents and my brother, saying that she was hoping that they would show her more sympathy, and when they were cold to her, she got even more upset. After hours of talking, she apologized for how she acted and has been acting, and she would like if we moved on from this. My brother came later, and they both went home. He texted me saying that they both spoke for hours and agreed to couples therapy. My parents are currently living with me and helping me out tremendously, but they're not quite happy with my sister-in-law yet. Although they promised to try to work things out, things finally seem to calm down, and let's hope it stays that way. None of this would have been possible without the feedback that you all gave me, and I'm indebted to that, so thank you. Edit to add, you were all so kind, honestly. But I wanted to clarify that I'm not a saint, nor am I selfless. I know what happened wasn't entirely on me, however. In order to focus solely on my recovery, I can't be stressed out about this whole situation and have all of this tension around. Seeing my brother being put in that position, and my sister-in-law, as hurtful as she was, being upset and holding hatred can affect herself and the baby. I did what I could to fix things so that everyone can focus on being healthy and being positive without holding any grudges. I know I sure will. I know my sister-in-law. She can be very stubborn and unreasonable, and if I left things in her hands, I'm 99% sure that it would have resulted in much, much worse circumstances than me putting the first hand forward. At least now I can focus on my recovery without any distress or toxicity. I'm human, I felt angry, I felt upset. Yes, I wanted to give her a piece of my mind, but in doing so, isn't helping myself, her, my brother, or my family, only damaging things further. This realization is what prompted me to let it all go and focus on positivity and my mental and physical health. Last edit, I spent all day on Reddit reading every little or big comment made. And honestly, I didn't know you could feel so much support from people you never met. You are all amazing humans. Thank you all for the upvotes, comments, and awards. And I will still read every single comment, but this will be my final edit. And for the people who asked, I'm 24. In the comments, imagine accusing someone of stealing the spotlight with their cancer announcement at a gathering they have arranged. She needed therapy like ages ago. She told me that I could have waited a bit and Skyped everyone with the news, as it's just stage 2, and let my brother and her have this moment with their family is such a deranged thing to tell someone who has just been diagnosed with cancer at 24 during a pandemic as well. That actually pissed me off so much. My mother-in-law was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer and beat it, but 2 years into remission, it came back with a vengeance. Stage 4 and everywhere. And she passed in November. Just stage 2 doesn't mean shit. Look, I know that it was in OP's best interests to keep the peace and calm everyone down despite OP not being the one in the wrong. OP had to extend that olive branch when it was not OP's job to do so. She had to go put out a fire that someone else had started. Or in fact, someone else had set her on fire and she had to reach out and be like, let's put out the fire that you did to me together. You know? I don't like you at all, but you continue to be such a piece of shit that I'm going to have to come talk some sense into you, and I'm going to have to apologize to you so that everyone can start moving on from this. What an emotional terrorist that woman is. And that is just so unfair to OP to have to be the one to make everything peaceful once again. Because that woman's like, oh, I can't have too much stress in my life because I have a baby and that could really affect the baby, but I'm gonna do nothing to make the situation any better. In fact, if it was up to me, I would make the stress 10 times worse for everyone, and then I'd complain that everything is so stressful and how hard done by I am with my baby, because does anyone ever think about me? That just infuriates me. I don't see how you could remain married to someone like that. If I was OP, I'd be pushing for him to divorce her and get rid of her. Honestly, what a piece of shit. She did nothing right in this situation. OP has too much patience and did the right thing in this situation, yes, but she's just gonna do it again. Let's be real, she's gonna do it again in the future. She's a ticking time bomb. I hate her. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.